All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Advisory Committee meeting. Meetings of committees of council convened under Section 5.8 of the Local Government Act 1995 are subject in part to the City of Wanneroo Standing Orders Local Law 2021. For the avoidance of doubt and in accordance with Clause 9.6 of the Standing Orders, a committee's presiding person may determine that a committee meeting will be conducted in full compliance with the Standing Orders, including those sections which are not explicitly stated to apply to committee meetings. This determination to be effected by a declaration by the presiding person at the opening of the meeting. As presiding member of the as presiding member of the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Advisory Committee, and in accordance with Clause 9.6 of the City of Wanneroo Standing Orders Local Law, I declare that all provisions of the Standing Orders will apply to the conduct of this meeting. So I now formally declare that the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Advisory meeting open at 6:01 p.m. Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting today is being held on Wajak Noongar Budja, and I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I thank all past and present members of the community that have supported the city to better understand and value Noongar culture within the City of Wanneroo. Please note that the audio-visual proceedings of tonight's meetings will be live broadcast online, with the exception of matters discussed behind closed doors. The broadcast of the proceedings of the meeting can be accessed live and on demand through the City of Wanneroo YouTube channel. Item 1, attendances as per the record. Tonight we have received a request for electronic attendance from Councillor Bedworth. Mayor Aitken has kindly approved this request, so when Councillor Bedworth will join the meeting, we are unsure at this point, as we believe he is currently attending a conference. So we'll do the vote. No, we don't need to do the vote. Sorry, apologies. I see that Councillor Smith has also joined online. So what we will do is vote to accept Councillor Smith, if that's okay, as a last minute. So could I have a mover and seconder for that? I've got a mover, Councillor Seif, and Mayor Aitken seconding that. Councillors, if we can just cast our vote on that particular one to let Councillor Smith in. By the looks of it, that is carried, so we can accept Councillor Smith into the meeting, please. Councillor Smith, can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Would you just be able to read your declaration out, not foreshadowing any confidential discussion tonight?
Can you hear me now again?
Yes, we can hear you, Councillor Smith.
Yes. Sorry, I am just turning... I'm driving at the moment, so I can't read out a certain declaration word for word, but I can maintain that I'm in the car alone and can maintain confidentiality.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I've accepted that. Item 2, apologies and leave of absence. Councillor Bedworth will be electronic attendance. However, if he is unable to join the meeting, then he will be a late apologies, and Councillor Smith is online at the moment. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. Could I have a mover and seconder that the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Advisory Committee meeting held on the 23rd of March 2026 be confirmed? Deputy Mayor Miles and Mayor Aitken is moving and seconding. Councillors, if we can cast our vote on that particular item. That looks like it's been carried unanimously. Item 4, reports. So we'll go straight to item 4.1. We will take the reports on read. However, we will start off with any questions first before going to a mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My first question relates to report 4.1 on page what's the first page of that item, page 1. I just wanted to ask administration whether you want to take it on notice. I'm happy to have that. Where the last line you've got that the Civic unit comprises of 54 operational staff, and I'm taking that is the people that are out in the field in trucks and utes and what have you, and then it's 19 administrative staff operating at the Ashby Depot. I was just keen to understand what the 19 administrative staff were doing.
Mr. Gould.
Thank you for the question through the chair. We'll take that on notice, and I think we'll give that information back as a direct answer so we can ensure that we are completely correct. Generally, though, the administration staff are projects and education. We have a customer service function as well. We have technical officer. We also have waste management officers, but I can get you the actual numbers and names of those administrative staff if that would help.
Deputy Mayor Miles, any follow-up?
No, happy to take that on, get that information later. I do have another question, thank you, Chair. Same report. On page 9 and I guess subsequent pages, I understand and the data is pretty good. My question to the team is, over the last month or so, we've had a couple of areas that have lost their waste collection for whether, I don't know, whether it's a truck issue or staffing issue. There's no reference to that in the report, so can we have a bit of clarity on what those issues were?
Mr. Gould.
Thank you through the chair. I guess to be mindful, the reason that's not in this report is because the most recent incident you're talking about actually occurred after the report was developed. We're happy to share that information, but it's also part of an ongoing investigation of what that has actually occurred. So I probably wouldn't want to provide that information to you directly now without having all the information that clear for you guys.
Deputy Mayor, any further questions on this report?
No, that's it for that report, thank you.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Seif next, and then I'll head to the Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. My question is just in follow-up to the question that Deputy Mayor Miles just asked. In regards to the 54 operational and 19 administrative staff, I was also interested in knowing just what the job titles or roles are that they're comprised of. But so I have it at a ratio of there's one administrative person for every 2.89 staff.
Sorry, Councillor Smith, would you be able to mute yourself? Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
So I just wanted to know, and it may not be possible, but I was just wondering how that compares to other similar sized local governments, that ratio of 1 to 2.89.
Yes, Director Singh would like to respond.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to draw council members' attention to, or committee members' attention to the progress which is being made in waste services of the last 3 years in particular. We had a very strong focus on waste operations in the past, and we have started to concentrate. I think council considered through Audit and Risk Committee and at a council meeting to bring waste as a strategic risk, which resulted in a lot of mitigation strategies to be identified and implemented, which required us to apply our focus more strongly on waste management. So what we've done since around January, February 2024, I think it was, we came up with a revised structure, which was a proposal, which was shared with council members at one of the budget workshops, which required to achieve what council is wanting to achieve in our waste management field was to include our resources to do our waste management work. So that resulted in creating additional positions in waste projects and education in our waste management field, to support our operations directly in our bulk waste, have some waste management officers. So it is kind of the way it should be set up to provide a very clear waste management strategic function and then waste operations function. Having that ratio is not going to be kind of directly applicable in this particular scenario, given that we have started doing a lot of work in our strategic waste management. And there is a lot of data management which is required. Previously, it was done a bit of loosely and ad hocly. So the work which has happened since January, February onwards, and you're seeing those results now, which have resulted in the construction of Wangara Waste Transfer Station, which had looked at development of our master plan for native upper resource recovery precinct. A different team is doing that, delivering that project, but the input comes from our waste services, waste management team. So that's the reason you see that kind of numbers here. If you have asked that question, 2-3 years ago, numbers were 54 and maybe 10 on the other side. So that's the difference. That's where we supplemented resources to achieve council's objectives.
Councillor Seif, any further questions?
I'll leave it until we get the report from admin. Thank you.
No problems. Mayor Agan.
This is a would you agree question. On page 9, I look at the waste per capita, and I would just like it noted that I'm sure that you would agree, I'd like to see if you agree that the waste per capita has gone from 384 kilos per person down to 376 kilos per person. Would you agree that this is a sign of success in decreasing the waste that we are doing per head per capita? Thank you.
Mr. Gould or Ms. Croker?
Thank you through the chair. The simple answer to that is yes. Most local governments have different measures in relation to their forms of success. Waste per capita for an organisation like this that is continuing to grow from a population perspective, if you can still see a downward trend in your waste production per capita, it means you're probably aiming at the right targets there. It's when those things start to increment up, you're probably not spending enough time in behavioural change and education. But I guess the success for Wanneroo so far is consistent downward trend over the past number of years.
Yes, Mayor Akin.
So possibly the extra money we've put in education and development of that within the wastes has indicated the improvement in that, and that's why we've spent money in that. Would you agree?
Mr. Gould.
Thank you again through the chair. It's not only that. Education is important, behavioural change is important, being out in the community is really important, that too, to try and continue that downward trend. You'll also find that some of the administration staff that we do have on, including through the strategic group and our management team, is actually finding operational improvements as well as we go. Those operational improvements also are considered in relation to our waste per capita and how that continues its downward trend. So it's a real combination of quite a few things that actually keeps that particular measurement on a downward trend for us.
Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Chair. I've only got one question. Out of the staff that are direct out on the road, which is the 54, is that how many rubbish trucks we've got? And of those rubbish trucks, are any electric, or are there any plans to look at electric? Thank you.
Mr. Gould.
Thank you through the chair. No, so 54 doesn't necessarily represent what you'd consider the trucks that you would commonly see on the street. Most of our trucks are either that you commonly see would make a difference. You'd sort of sit up and go, oh, that's a rubbish truck for us. Generally a side lift or a rear loader. They do not form 54. This is actually number of people. We offer a lot of other different services besides that, along the lines of, so all your bus stop and city park bins are serviced as well. They're not serviced by a large truck like that. Illegal dumping is another one that is not necessarily serviced in the same manner. So that 54 is simply the number of operating people that we do have. Do we have any electric trucks? No, not at the minute. Should it be a consideration that the city makes? Yes, probably at some point, but you'd have to really measure up the financial benefits and the environmental benefits that could or could not be in that place at the moment. We are considering with some of our replacement trucks a lot more low entry into the fleet, so I guess that's a good step in the right direction. And as different or alternative fuel vehicles become available, I think from a fleet perspective, the city would...
Good. Councillor Smith, did you have any questions on this item, 4.1? No? Fantastic. All right, so I'll grab a mover and seconder for item 4.1. So, Deputy... that looks like it's been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. So we'll now move to item 4.2, which starts on page 11 and the recommendation is on page 16. And again, we'll take the item as noted. Is there any questions from the committee on this? Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you. Just, I guess, an ask question. On page 25, it indicates, let me just go to where I'm, actually, no, it's 23, 4.2, Mr. Galt. It does talk about energy recovery facility. Is that the proper terminology for what we would consider our future strategy to have in its place instead of the terminology that we're currently telling people?
Mr. Gould.
Thank you, through the Chair. The energy recovery facility is the definition that has been suggested to us through the regulator. Commonly, it's referred to as waste to energy, but in this instance, we are attempting to use the most modernised language that we have to reflect what the regular basis is of. Probably just good practice. Again, this report and your future infrastructure requirements, energy recovery facilities are a placeholder at the minute. Again, waste management of the end life of waste changes quite regularly as technology advances, but that is now the common terminology or definition that we would use for that facility.
Yep, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, just a follow-up. I appreciate and I understand where Mr. Galt is going. I guess my follow-up question is, can we then have that terminology as it is would I say requested by the state agencies to be more reflective of what the future may be for the city of Wanneroo? So should we be calling it a waste to energy system or an energy system, bearing in mind that technology is changing rapidly? So energy, an energy recovery facility is more appropriate.
Mr. Gould.
Thank you, through the Chair. I would suggest that we would use the terminology that's given to us by the regulator, because that will become the common language over time. Waste to energy has been a common language that's been used in the past. We're just trying to maintain the modern nature of the documents that we're trying to produce for the city.
Any further questions on item 4.2? Councillor Smith.
Thank you. My question is about on page 13. It talks about the city's waste service delivery model and the multi-unit dwellings, emerging service challenges. Down the bottom it says this investigation is currently on hold due to other organisational priorities and resource constraints. Knowing that, you know, part of it is, I guess, an equitable challenge. Do we have any sort of time frame around that? Because I don't like us leaving that outstanding, if that makes sense. Thanks.
Mr. Gould.
Thank you for the question, and through the Chair. I guess the reason that it's referenced as, you know, on hold is because we're currently working through the alignment of our strategic waste documentation, which is a substantive piece of work, a strategic waste avoidance and resource recovery plan, which is looking to reflect what the state hopefully will have produced in the new financial year here, which is a substantive document as well. We're also dealing with Dundebar Regional Council consistently at the minute, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Our waste infrastructure plan, which again, you know, we've sort of preempt that a little bit with Wanneroo, where it's at, Neerabup, Northern facility. So that management group that we were talking about before do have quite a lot of things on their plate just at the minute. Multi-unit dwellings, while important to us, they're not an issue quite at this minute, but we do realise and recognise there's work that needs to be done there. That's why that makes it to this report. We're trying to give you guys an idea of our priority system for what we're actually working on.
Councillor Smith.
Just to follow up clarity, I understand that in terms of policy, you know, and getting all the guidelines and everything worked out, I guess,
from a written point of view, but I just wanted to clarify. So if anyone that's existing in a multi-unit dwelling place has a problem, we've worked out a temporary equitable situation for them in the meantime.
Mr. Gould?
I guess this piece of work that we're suggesting for the service delivery model for MUDs is an improvement to what we've already have in place. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not doing the service whatsoever. It just means that we've identified it as an improvement that we can put in place. There's multiple areas in our business that we can put these improvements in place, and this is just the hierarchy that it's got to at the moment from a priority from our perspective.
Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to follow up from Councillor Smith, Mr. Galt, so the new units that are going in some of our coastal suburbs, I'm thinking the ones down in Mindari, also at Quinns Beach and others, they're not getting individual green, yellow and red bins, are they? Are they already getting a commercial red and a commercial yellow? How are we as a council dealing with those sites now?
I'll pass to Mr. Gould.
I'd probably like to take that one on notice just to make sure that I can give you accurate information, Councillor Miles. My understanding at the moment is that most of these multi-unit dwellings that are serviced are just getting the regular service type of bins that we do, which is generally the 2 though, because of the small size property. There's not really much commercial that I'm aware of, but I'll probably take that one on notice and just get back to you with the process we go through for those MUDs at the moment.
That's been noted. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, can you also, in that noting back to this group, how we're then charging those units and or strata, I'm assuming most of them would be strata, how are we as a council then charging them on their rates?
Through the Chair, happy to provide that information as well.
Thank you for that. Any further questions from the committee? None indicated. So the recommendation is on page 16 that the WARAC committee receives this report on the quarterly strategic report for the period ending April 2026 and provides feedback on the Waste Infrastructure Plan 2025 to 2045, attachment 1. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Berry, and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Miles, and we will go to the vote on that. That looks like it's been carried unanimously. So we'll now go to item 4.3, which starts on page 30, and the recommendation is on page 33. Any questions from the committee on 4.3? Deputy Mayor Miles.
Just a quick one, Chair, to Mr. Galt. When are you planning on starting option 3?
I don't think we're on that report now, Deputy Mayor Miles. That's all good. We'll keep that one for the next.
Take that on notice, Mr. Galt.
Any questions on 4.3? None. Mr. Galt would like to add some comments.
I know the report has been read, but I'd also like to thank the team for the project they're working on in relation to Aquamotion and Kingsway indoor stadium facilities for containers to change. The city hasn't necessarily embraced that as well as it could have in the past. No detriment to the city itself. We're all very, very busy in our waste services group. I think that's a real gain for us in relation to assisting with the goals of our recycling into the future. So I'd like to thank the team. I'd like that to be noted.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. And yes, I think that is worth mentioning. Thank you. All right, I will go for a mover and seconder for item 4.3. Did you have a question, Councillor Berry? Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Will the containers for change also be at the Arc when we get that far? Thank you.
Mr. Gould or Director Singh?
I'd probably go to Director Singh as management of the ARC, I think, is still in your remit at the minute, isn't it?
Through you, Chair, I think Council probably Council members know that the management of ARC is being contracted out, and provision of waste services is part of that contract. So we have to clarify with them in that case.
Thank you, Director Singh. Councillor Berry, did you want to move that item? Yep, Councillor Berry will be moving, and a seconder for this item. Councillor Seif is seconding, thank you, and we will go to the vote. Thank you, councillors. That has been carried unanimously. So we'll now move on to item 4.4, noting that there is some requirements to provide advice to the administration on the options being presented. So that report starts on page 34 with the recommendation on page 38. I will go to questions and comments for this item on recommendations, but I will hand over to Mr. Galt before we do that. Whether there's anything you would like to add. No, none indicated. All right, Deputy Mayor Miles.
I refer to my previous question on this item, Mr. Gould.
Mr. Galt.
Thank you through the chair. Could you repeat the question just to make sure that I get it correct, Councillor Miles? Thank you.
What is the timeline for administration to commence what I consider an important stage in our waste management on option 3, which I support?
Thank you through the chair. I guess if that option was to be supported, we'd still need to go through our budget process. Council would need to confirm that the budget, because an additional budget would be required. I guess, look, the earliest we could kick that off would be in October, as per the report. The report sort of talks about April, June and October as the preferred timing for those things. The upside of this is that we actually run a relatively good recovery weekend already. So I would expect we could do it if council were happy to sign off that in the budget as an additional portion of money. I would aim for October to answer your question succinctly.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll start with Councillor Berry and then I'll work my way around just to ensure everyone's heard and can articulate their position. So Councillor Berry, and then we'll go to Mayor Aitken after.
Thanks, Chair. My only comment would be that one of the advantages for option 3 was seen to be that we would still be collecting tyres and things. However, the tyre tonnage went down for between 24 and 25. That would be my only real observation. I suppose I better form that as a question. Does administration agree?
Mr. Galt or Ms. Croker?
Thank you through the chair. I guess our 2024 tyre actuals, which is physical tyres, not tonnages, 1,424. The 2025 actual was 1,340. So it's 80-ish odd tyres, 70-something tyres. So I'd agree, yes, the tyre numbers did go down.
Councillor Berry?
I think we need to be very mindful when we look at option 3 because the estimated costs are more than the other options. We have got budget constraints at the moment and there is cost of living crisis, I guess. Having 3 events, whilst it sounds good, are we convinced that they will be well received and well used? And how much is it then going to cost us to transport stuff from Alkimos to one of the normal places where we dispose of rubbish? Because I don't believe we've got a facility in Alkimos. Thank you.
Mr. Gould?
Thank you for the question. So some of the transport occurs with our bulk trucks. So that's a rear compactor. They just put some of the materials there. A lot of the other materials that are a bit more harder to get rid of, like tyres, polystyrene's another one, they're actually picked up by contractors in the location that we have the site. It's part of the agreement that we have with them through contracts. So as a matter of attendance, I guess we don't really know the answers to that. We know how many people attend in Ashby. We also know that our populations are both in the south and in the north, and particularly the north getting quite a high population growth into the very near future.
No further comments, questions? Mayor?
Thank you. I'm supportive of option 3. The increase is $13,000 and it is not much with our population increase to consider with the problem with dumping of tyres, when we have to pick up dumped tyres individually, that is of a greater cost. So I'm quite happy with option 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So option 3 from the Mayor. Councillor Seif?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, ditto to that. Option 3 definitely, and thank you to admin for putting option 3 there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Seif. Option 3 for yourself. Deputy Mayor Miles, would you look option 3 as well? Councillor Smith?
3, just because we are incredibly large, geographically dispersed area, and so you want to reduce barriers and so meet people where they're at. Otherwise, they'll be reluctant to actually drive all that way, causing dumping problems, things like that. So it costs extra, but for the size that we are, we need to take some costs sometimes.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Yep, so I'm happy of option 3 as well. So we'll have the Mayor would like to move the item. Is there a seconder for this particular item? Councillor Smith is seconding. Was there any further questions or comments before we go to the vote? None indicated, so we'll go to the vote on that item. All right, so that is carried 5-1. So the councillor against is Councillor Berry, and the 5 councillors for were myself, Mayor Aitken, Councillor Seif, Deputy Mayor Miles and Councillor Smith. So that item is carried. Item 5, confidential, we have none. Item 6, late reports, we have none. Item 7, date of the next meeting. So the next WARAC committee meeting has been scheduled for 6 p.m. on Monday the 20th of July to be held in the council chamber. I'd like to thank council support for their support tonight. And item 8, closure, the meeting is closed at 6:32 p.m. Thank you, councillors.